I'm really excited to hear this talk because, like probably many of you, I'm doing a lot of AI integration for various applications. So I'm not just using Cloud Code or whatever. I'm also, building transcription, audio transcription or things like that. And a lot of the tools we use, this is all like new territory. So trying to figure out how to apply these best practices that we're used to in this new territory is challenging. And so David's got a great talk for us on this. And I think it's going to be highly practical for a lot of what we're doing right now. So David, thanks for being here. And let's give it up for David.
Thank you all. Thank you, Jeremy. It's a pleasure being here. I really enjoyed the conference. I hope you guys had a great time yesterday and today as well. We had some technical challenges, but we will present some variation of it, and I'll send some details in Slack later after the talk, so you can play with the terminal, you can play with stuff on your own computers and ask me questions. Today I'm going to talk to you about a story about the service called text support. What's text support? It's actually a Texas Q&A service that we want to build, and it will answer questions about Texas-style culture, questions related to Texas, and so on. And I'll explain why I'm talking about Texas in a bit. What kind of problem we're gonna have? So how do you actually answer questions in a sustainable way? Do you actually know if those questions are good or not? How do you see what's happening in a production? Do you know what's going on? Do people actually get right answers? Does it cost reasonable amount of money? And so on. And how we can all improve our progress. My name is David Paluy. I'm Paluy on different places, GitHub, etc. Doing Rails since version 1.8. I did AI even before it was called AI. It was still machine learning. That time, we did it with Python mostly, but today we have amazing option to do this with Ruby, and I'm gonna talk a lot about Ruby and less about AI. I live in Austin, Texas, and this is the reason why I'm talking about Texas. I like this place. Previously, I was a CTO in a small startup in Austin called Supply. We actually still do fintech for construction business. And today, I'm playing with agents building because it's the best time to build, especially with Ruby. I want to use your phone and vote on this poll. Hope it's gonna work. Okay, so we see that most people are using Claude. I'm just wondering how many people actually use LLM inside the application, not just for building, but just inside, if you can raise your hands. Okay, good. Let's talk about the actual idea. So what's gonna happen with this service? We're gonna use Ruby LLM, and I use Ruby LLM for probably a year or so. It's an amazing gem that well maintained by Carmen and other people, and we're gonna use Rails. And we're gonna ask questions about different stuff related to Texas, and let's see how it works. So this type of question that we wanna let people ask in this system, okay? How are we gonna answer those? What type of brisket can I do at home, and so on? What's the proper way? way to respond to some like Texas jargon and so on. How are we going to build this? We're going to build this with several options. We can use either open source models. We can use proprietary models. And as you saw previously, most of you actually use Claude Anthropic-related models in your existing system, but you can also use fine-tuned models. And I personally highly recommend fine-tuning your own models because it will provide you the best results at the end. What happens next? We ship the first version. It's kind of work. We did some tests, but just kind of works on some like small question. It doesn't prove us that it's actually a good solution, right? We gave it to some QA person in our team. Looks fine. Yeah, I tested, I asked it several questions and so on. And then your guest said like the ketchup answer was helpful, but really? One of the biggest challenges with LLMs that is non-deterministic. So we don't really know what's going on in it, right? You won't deploy application without actually testing it. So why would you deploy something with LLM without testing it properly? How can we test it? How can we evaluate those results? This is another poll that I want you to let me know and other teams. How do you evaluate? What you can see that most of our audience here is actually doing this manually / just hope that it works, right? Or some even don't do at all. I'd like to talk about several options that we have right now in the Ruby community. One of them is open source project called Leva, built and maintained by Kiran from Avery. He actually built this, I think, probably a year ago. This is the most mature option for doing evals. It's a Rails engine that can run inside your application. I highly recommend you to test it for your purpose. Just see if that works. There is another project that was released recently, I think probably like 2 months ago, called Eval Ruby. And the last one, Rubric LLM, is my gem that I created that I will talk about. The main difference between those three is just the concept of how we work. If it's a Rails application, if it's a Ruby application, and how can we test it? There is some issue with the presentation. It was cut. But what you can see, the main difference is on A/B testing, we can actually do some like math tests, and I'll talk about this in a bit on next slide. What's a Rubric LLM? We can configure this on top of Ruby LLM gem, and we can define different metrics. So inside this one, we have 6 built-in metrics, but we also have an ability to create a custom metric. When we define those, we also have a judge model. What judge model does, it's actually analyze results and compare those with results that our kind of fine-tuned model or less smart model can actually do, okay? So we always prefer to use judge model as the most advanced one, for example, Opus 4.7 or GPT 5.5 and so on, and specific model that are kind of work for our needs. We're going to use either fine-tune or small models or less expensive. Can we actually trust LLM to judge us? Like, how many of you had this, sorry, I thought about this and it just didn't work, or you're right, this is probably the most known response from Anthropic Cloud CLI. Like, how did you get to this? Yeah, you are right. It was my wrong assumption. Yeah, this is probably most frustrating for me. So, in many cases, it just decides on its own. It provides kind of good enough solution, but it's not good enough for us. And it just changed the grade. Rubric LLM creates rubrics. What are those rubrics? Those are kind of built-in metrics that just don't let LLM write fluff as a response. So we can actually fix it to our needs. We have two parts. One is LLM as a judge. The second one is just retrieval metrics. So LLM as judge is the part that has this judge LLM in work. Those are frontier models. Retrieval metrics are just a pure math. It doesn't have anything to do with LLMs, just statistics. I don't want to go into details. I wrote explicit README inside the gem that explains the right part of it. On the left side, what you can do is just different parameters that you can define in your own. But something I would like to show you is just an example of how it's going to present. So we have different models. Each model has its own metrics, and hopefully at the end, our fine-tuned model will actually provide specific results. Because if I ask GPT 4.1 on some like Texas-specific knowledge, it probably won't know. Like either it just fabricate or just said like some garbage. Our results have an ability to actually provide A/B testing on this type of evaluation, and that's what we want to achieve. And I won't go into specific details on the actual math of this, but you can read details if you really want to understand the logic behind it. I want to show you several examples of how we can actually create like a custom metrics. And this is probably the most interesting part in this gem, is not everything is specific. So we have our own domain knowledge. We have our own part that we need to fine-tune, and only our custom metrics actually can do. This is kind of a non-vegan option. I have alternative. I can tell you that it's not specific for just a barbecue. It can work for any of your domain knowledge, okay? All you have to do is just define what's kind of the score, and after you define the score, it works. So what's going at the end? We have two types of questions. One, it's just like 3-hour oven for the brisket, okay? And it should provide us a score. And this is like a custom metric that we defined ourselves. GPT 4.1 and even GPT 5.5 probably won't know this, right? But our system can provide this result. And of course, if we go the Texas way with proper post-hoc, it works. Rubric allows us to run exactly the same logic also in our CI. We can use it with mini-test, we can use it with RSpec, and we can define it as part of our continuous integration. And the best part, it doesn't require like way too much spending money on it. All you have to do is just pay per token for the judge. And it's kind of one-time evaluation on each run. So we have a confidence now, right? We solved the evils part. We can run this in CI. We have custom metrics that we can fine-tune for our needs, and we can evaluate answers with confidence. But we actually don't know what's going on. Users are started using our tech support service, started asking questions, and suddenly we have some like silent regressions. We don't really know what's going on, right? How many of you had this kind of call from customer support that just call and complain like people can't figure out like what's going on with application? With LLMs, it's way, way critical, okay? Because it's non-deterministic. Cost. How many of you actually had a case where suddenly you got like a big bill? And I don't know how, like, I suddenly got like $150 bill just like for one day, and I'm looking what happened. Like, I don't know what's going on, right? And the ketchup accident as something that may happen as well. We don't know how to analyze those issues. We have no idea what's going on with our application. So how can we solve this? We can use loggers, just a standard kind of Rails logger. It may work, it depends on the size of your application, but for some application, it just doesn't. There is one solution that I built a Tracebook gem that does kind of analysis on top of Ruby LLM for everything that we receive with dashboard and chats. I won't be able to show it to you, but I will send some links and, in the Slack later, so you can play with it as well. All you have to do is just install this gem, run migration, and it works inside your Rails application. It has two methods on PII that I wanted to mention. One of them is just a basic regex PII. The second one is based on LLM. And in a demo part, I'll show you few options and few issues that I found with it. We can track cost of LLM. We can build kind of internal flow of approve or reject. And we can just export the data as a CSV file to give to our LLM for analysis, like post-analysis. I want to show you kind of an example of what does it mean kind of PII, because and why I think it's actually pretty important. Some people don't trust LLM, some people actually trust it a lot. And we don't really know what's going on with it. Like, I can expose my personal details in this type of conversation. I can expose sensitive information that we definitely don't want to kind of expose inside the company. So this part is actually pretty critical. Basic regex doesn't solve this issue. We need something more sustainable. And for our help, OpenAI released last week open source model that actually does exactly this. So you can run it on your own computer, on your own machine. It doesn't require like any GPU. It can query the information and return results. Is it perfect? It's not. I can tell you already. I did a bunch of tests last week. It's not perfect, but it's the best that we have right now. And hopefully, we will do some fine-tuning and improve this model going forward. I want to mention another solution that was released probably like 2 months ago or so by a team from Thoughtbot, Open Telemetry. And that's a great solution that I also highly recommend you to check. It takes the same data and send it to your Prometheus or Datadog or some other systems, and it works really well. This project is still growing. I'm considering either maybe contribute to this project instead of mine. Still trying to figure out what's the best way. But I highly recommend you to check this. We are not competing with each other right now because each one does a separate job. We actually bring each one its own value, and together it should be part of your stack when you're working with LLM. So let's analyze again the full architecture of this tech support application. So user asks a question. We have a Rails controller that receives the question. It sends it to Ruby LLM, whatever model you prefer. Then we create notification. This notification is sent to Open Telemetry device that you prefer, as well as you can track it internally inside your dashboard, inside your admin. After you receive those results, you can evaluate those results inside like separate dev environment. When you export the data, you can create internal evaluation. You don't have to use Rails at all. You can do this with pure Ruby. And it can be built inside your future improvement cycle. So you can reuse it inside your CI as well. So let's kind of summarize the full picture. What happened right now? We have the full feedback. So Tracebook captures those bad interactions. We can flag those. Currently it's done manually, but in the future we can probably do some improvements and automate some of those. We can export the data set, and we can test those results and improve and fine-tune our model. We can fine-tune the prompt as well, and we can ship it with way more confidence. And that's the end result that we want to achieve. Every time we do this full cycle, we improve our development process. We got more confidence, our models are way more efficient, way better, and we can ship just way better products. So if we're gonna revisit the rebate question, we can give it to GPT 4.1, and we have like some result that it's gonna return us, but as we know, like GPT 4.1 has zero knowledge about like Texas and everything that is related to, and we have our own like fine-tuned tech support model, V1 version, that provide a clear result, and it's pass, right? And we have enough, and as you can see, this the Texas Spirit is actually our custom metric that we defined. So I will skip the demo because of some issues, but I would like to actually show you some. Can you see it? Right? Yes. So this one, this is a model that I mentioned previously. It's an open source model that OpenAI released that does privacy filtering. I highly recommend you to use it. It works okay. Pay attention that it doesn't check data if you explicitly don't send it's mine. For example, I'll give an example. I wrote this, what's the closest hospital to address something? It just ignore it. It doesn't put it in place. It just exposes it to ChatGPT, so it doesn't filter this like PAI data. Why? I started digging into the description and I found if I don't explicitly mention it's my, it just ignore it. Why? We should probably ask OpenAI guys, but I assume we can probably filter and improve those type of things, or we can improve our prompt and just send it that every data that we are sending is my, kind of belongs to me, so it should filter. Okay? I actually want to show you this particular example. So I didn't merge this into, I merged this fix, but I didn't release it yet. I'm still testing it. But this is a particular example that I was able to kind of send my address inside the LLM. So in a request, it filtered it, but in a response, it just showed me the address. Why? Because once again, this privacy LLM doesn't check the response. So what happens? I ask, what's the closest hospital to my address, and so on. What happened at the end? It just, so the closest hospital to this address is, and so on. But it actually kind of repeats itself, so how can you prevent it? I try to use regex. Regex doesn't work here. Why? Because I actually want to see what type of addresses it will return. So I can't just filter all addresses. What happened next? I can explicitly tell my prompt, never repeat user question, or don't expose any details. And this type of fine-tuning we have to do in order to actually make it work. This way we can achieve like a real PII solution. The last part that I wanted to show you, and I will share it on Slack, but inside this rubric LLM, I actually created a set of examples that can show you how you can use it inside your application. So let me show you some specific examples. Sorry. So you can take this example. You can only define, for example, OpenAI key and define your model, and that's it. So how it's going to work? You have this set of sample responses. Assume this is your response from the LLM, from different LLMs, and you can compare it and get the result at the end with different baseline, different data set. And I don't want to go into the details, but it's something that you can actually put inside your CI, so you can verify those results, and those results are deterministic. It's values between 0 to 1, so you don't have to reinvent anything particular. It's pure math, nothing else here, okay? This is an example of the custom metric. So this type of question that we can see here is about some customer support question that is typical for any business, and we should know like if it's actually respond correctly to our specific product. So we can define different results, what's expected, and after we are running those results, we have this custom metric. You are evaluating judge, score each answer in a clear, concise, and professionally helpful, and provide the actual expected response. Usually it should be a JSON with clear values. And you can just run this script and use it as an example, but I highly recommend you just to try it, and you can fine-tune and get those results. Sorry, I have to kind of skip the actual demo, but I'll just send you via Slack all the details. So what can you do on Monday? You can try this gem. You can enable Ruby LLM if you are not using it yet. It's just one line of code. You can start looking on your data. Just review all the interactions that you got recently. And after that, just give it a try to Rubric LLM gem. I'd like to summarize our stack. We have Ruby LLM as our middleware. We have Tracebook for telemetry. We have Hotel Gem that exports the data using OpenTelemetry protocol. And we have Rubric LLM for evals. Those links, I'll also share those on Slack. I'll be happy to answer any questions, not only related to those gems, but everything related to AI, how to make your company kind of more efficient. I did this recently. I have a bunch of lessons learned. It's not an easy task. Everything is changing, but I'm excited for the future. And the last bonus, I hope you can actually